It supports pons and medulla oblongata. Foramen magnum. It is the largest foramen of skull. It is narrow in front and wider behind. Behind foramen magnum is internal occipital crest. On each side of the crest lie the cerebellar hemispheres. Internal occipital protuberance is grooved on each side by beginning of transverse sulci containing transverse venous sinuses. These sulci continue as sigmoid sulci lodging the sigmoid venous sinuses. Lateral area. Hypoglossal canal present laterally with the hypoglossal nerve. Condylar canal containing an emissary vein. Posterior surface of petrous temporal shows a very important internal acoustic meatus. This is 1 centimeter long and runs laterally. And it gives passage to 7th nerve, 8th nerve and the labyrinthine vessels. Orifice of aqueduct of vestibule is a narrow slit behind internal acoustic meatus. The jugular foramen lies close to posterior end of junction of petrous and occipital bone. It gives exit to 9th, 10th and 11th nerves and to beginning of the internal jugular vein, which is the continuation of the sigmoid venous sinus. Finish. Okay. Orbits are pyramidal shaped cavities, one on each side of the nose. Orbit contains eyeball, muscles, nerves, vessels, ligaments, fat. Parts of orbit. Apex. This is situated at the medial end of superior orbital fissure. Lies at posterior end of the orbit. Medial walls of two orbits are parallel. Lateral walls meet each other at 90-degree angle. Roof. Orbital plate of frontal bone forms the roof of the orbit. It shows lacrimal fossa anterolaterally for the lacrimal gland, optic canal at the junction of roof and medial wall, trochlear fossa anteromedially. It gives attachment to trochlea for tendon of superior oblique, lateral wall. The formed mainly by the zygomatic bone. Its frontal process forms the strong lateral wall and part of greater wing of sphenoid forms the lateral wall posteriorly. Superior orbital fissure lies at the junction of roof and lateral wall. Zygomatic foramen is in the zygomatic bone. Floor. Orbital surface of maxilla and orbital surface of zygomatic bone. It separates the orbit from maxillary air sinus. Inferior orbital fissure lies at the junction of floor and lateral wall. There is inferior orbital groove and inferior orbital canal. They run in the floor. Floor in its anteromedial part gives origin to the inferior oblique muscle. The thin medial wall is formed mainly by the frontal process of maxilla, delicate lacrimal bone, and another delicate orbital plate of ethmoid. Orbital plate of ethmoid separates the orbit from the ethmoidal air sinus. The lacrimal groove lodges lacrimal sac. The groove leads through the nasolacrimal canal into the inferior meatus of the nose. Anterior and posterior ethmoidal canal lie at junction of roof and medial wall. The inferior orbital fissure contains the zygomatic nerve, orbital branches of pterygopalatine ganglia, inferior orbital nerve, and communication between inferior ophthalmic vein and the pterygoid venous plexus. The other foramina will be done with the total number of foramina. The mandible. Mandible is the largest bone of the face. It forms synovial joint in the skull and it is the only mobile bone. It develops from the first pharyngeal arch. Mandible comprises a body which lodges 16 lower teeth and a pair of rami which is mainly for muscle attachment. Each half of body has surfaces, outer and inner. The outer surface reveals symphysis menti, mental protuberance, below that mental foramen which gives exit to mental nerve and vessels, incisive fossa and oblique line which gives attachment to the muscles. The inner surface shows mylohyoid line from third molar tooth downwards. In the lower part, there are, in relation to the symphysis menti, there are genial tubercles, superior and inferior. Above the mylohyoid line has a fossa, the submandibular fossa, which lodges the submandibular salivary gland. The submandibular fossa lies below the mylohyoid line. It lodges the submandibular salivary gland and the submandibular group of lymph nodes. These lymph nodes drain the side of the tongue. Above the mylohyoid line is the sublingual fossa lodging the sublingual salivary gland. The borders. There are two borders, upper border and the lower border. Upper border is the alveolar border for the teeth, and these joints are known as gomphosis. The lower border is also called the base. Near the midline on each side is a fossa, the digastric fossa, which gives origin to the anterior belly of digastric muscle. On the inner surface, there is a mylohyoid groove which lies below the mylohyoid line. The ramus of the mandible. It has got surfaces which are lateral and medial. The lateral surface is flat and it shows few ridges. The medial surface has a mandibular foramen which leads into a mandibular canal and it opens outside at the mental foramen and it keeps on giving incisive branches to the teeth. The anteromedial boundary of mandibular foramen is formed by a tongue-like process which is known as the lingula. The mylohyoid groove runs downwards and medially. The borders. It has got four borders. The upper border forms the concave mandibular notch. The lower border continues with the posterior border at the angle of the mandible. The anterior border is thin and the posterior border is thick. The coronoid process is a triangular projection from antero-superior part of the ramus of mandible. The condyloid process is expanded and forms the head. The head is covered with a fibrocartilage and it forms the very important synovial temporomandibular joint. Below the head is the neck, which is narrow, and anterior surface of neck has a depression which is known as pterygoid fovea. The attachments. The oblique line of the mandible gives attachment to the buccinator muscle. It extends down till the first molar tooth. The lower part of the oblique line gives attachment to depressor anguli oris and depressor labii inferioris. The incisive fossa provides attachment to the mentalis and mental slips of orbicularis oris muscle. The mylohyoid line on the inner aspect gives attachment to mylohyoid muscle in most of its part. At the posterior end, it gives attachment to the superior constrictor muscle, and just behind superior constrictor is a raphe called as pterygomandibular raphe. At the back of symphysis menti, the upper genial tubercle gives attachment to the genioglossus, which is a very important muscle, life-saving muscle of the tongue, and the lower genial tubercle gives attachment to geniohyoid. The digastric fossa gives attachment to the anterior belly of the digastric muscle. The deep cervical fascia is attached along the whole length of the lower border. Most of the lateral surface of the ramus gives insertion to the strong masseter muscle. The posterior-superior part of the lateral surface is related to the parotid gland, which overlaps the masseter muscle. On the inner surface, the lingula in relation to mandibular canal gives attachment to the sphenomandibular ligament. The medial surface of the ramus near the angle gives insertion to medial pterygoid muscle. The apex and medial surface of coronoid process and anterior border of the ramus gives insertion to important temporalis muscle. The lateral pterygoid gets inserted into pterygoid fovea on the anterior aspect of the neck. It is also inserted into the articular disc of the temporomandibular joint and the capsule of the important temporomandibular joint. Lastly, the lateral surface of the neck gives attachment to an important lateral ligament of the temporomandibular joint. The mandible is related to lots of nerves and vessels. The nerves related are all the branches of the mandibular division of trigeminal nerve. These are the auriculotemporal nerve at the neck of the mandible,